Alright guys, we have a very fun thematic 2v2 here for you. Turin and I square off against GobboKing and ProfPwn. We are manning the forces of the Empire against the dreaded Tomb Kings in the Battle of the Salt Plains. So let's take a look at what we've got on our side against the mighty Tomb Kings. So I've gone with a lovely front line of flagellants, including the Tattersouls here. These anti-infantry, these frenzied really kind of damage dealers are going to help us negate a lot of those base, cheap, frontline chaff units that the Tomb King are going to bring with their frontline with their skeleton warriors or skeleton spearmen. We also have gone with a nice lovely battery of multiple siege engines here. Turin and I both have the Hammer of Witches. I have gone also with the Hellstorm rocket battery, the Sunmaker, and this one does some fire damage as well. You can see it's already kind of kicking off down range. That's going to do a significant amount of damage to our foe. We've gone with some spears to support each and every one of our artillery pieces, as well as some skirmish cav with pistoliers. I've got 2 units of Knights of the Blazing Sun over here on the far right. I've got the lovely Pimp Master Volkmar the Grim. That handlebar mustache is going to lead the day, as well as a Bright Wizard. Turin went with a Jade Wizard, so that's the Lore of Life, as well as Karl Franzia here. Going to be slapping the bag all day, all night. Now, ProfPwn and GobboKing with some quick skirmish cav out here with the Skeleton Horseman Archers, as well as the dreaded Eyes of the Desert here, the Sepulchral Stalkers. That anti-large, that AP from these guys is going to be very devastating for, say, a Karl Franz or any of the larger target kind of cavalry that the Empire tends to take, such as your Hippogriff Knights and the such. Now, Royal Altdorf Griffites. Now, if we take a look over here at the main bulk, the choke point of the army here, we have 4 huge, devastating bone giants. Now, these guys are going to be really strong here because they are, as it says, specialist artillery. These guys are great at sniping out any kind of large, scary targets like a Karl Franz, or, most importantly, they can snipe out single artillery pieces anytime they make direct contact with them. As you saw from our unit test video, this is not so often, like when they shoot at them, it's not a guaranteed hit every time, but with 4 of them, they're going to be hitting those artillery pieces out pretty quickly. They went with some nice Chosen of the Gods here, these anti-infantry, these AP, the shield breaker mechanics, so they're really going to be able to take a lot of range damage to the foe, that being us, down range here. You can already see them starting to kick off some damage towards our flagellants. But then a lot of frontline skeleton spearmen and typical just kind of skeleton warriors, as well as a lich priest of light. They also have a necrotech on a chariot with Khalida on her chariot, as opposed to her usual kind of doom snake she's on. Then you have the Lord of Roombas himself, Katep, down over there shooting down range with his Casket of Souls, which is a really great choice in this kind of in this matchup, because it is an artillery piece. It is going to do a lot of damage to a lot of the low tier infantry that you do get typically in an Empire line, as well as some lovely kind of bone archers we've got here, and then the Kepra Guard, followed of course by the big man himself, the Sphinx of Usek. Now this guy, we bring our little unit card back up, he is magic damage, he is flaming attacks, he is anti-large, he is causing terror, he's AP. I mean, he is the nightmare of any one of the elite portions of the Empire army, and that includes their heroes, that includes all of their elite cav. So the Sphinx of Usek is going to be doing a ton of damage to us whenever it does make contact with us. We do have to watch out for that foe. But the fight has started in earnest, and we can already see that these bone giants are starting to shoot down range, and probably targeting some of our artillery. And we can actually even see right here that they've already hit out and knocked out, oh, another one of those Hammer of the Witches. Like I was saying, every time it makes contact with one of those artillery pieces, it's going to blow it up almost instantaneously. But we do have our Knights of the Blazing Sun, as well as Skirmish Cav, trying to make contact with their Skirmish Cav, knock this out here quickly, because we don't want it knocking through our back line. That's going to be doing the majority of the damage to the large constructs and swaths of infantry that we will be dealing with the Tomb Kings here. Oh, we're already having some contact here with the Tattersouls, crashing into the Skeleton Spearmen here. Oh, just jumping in. Oh man, look at that Firestorm rocket battery ripping through everything. And then a lovely Burning Skull just ripping its way through everything here. That's going to do a ton of damage. As we do know, the Tomb Kings are weak to fire, so the Burning Skull does a lot of damage to a lot of these low-tier chaff kind of infantry units in the Skeleton Spearmen, in the Skeleton Warriors, so you do have to really kind of be mindful of that. But Volkmar is getting that handlebar mustache up in the face of all of these skeleton warriors, as well as Kalita exploding everywhere, all over everyone, getting that green juices all over the place. And the big thing with her is that she is going to be able to ride through the Sterling's Revenge here with real ease. I mean, this is a really good choice on GobboKing and Professor Pwn's part, because they're going to be able to harass the backline significantly. Firestorm rocket battery still ripping off down the line here. Ooh, we got the sandstorm kicking off. But lucky for us, it did just kind of miss here, kind of skirt to the left. Volkmar the Grimm's 22% damage resistance kicking in, trying to at least save Turin's Jade Wizard while trying to put some damage into High Queen Kalita here. Ooh, and the Skull Storm from Kotep also looking to like it's going to miss the mark here, so we got kind of lucky in missing both those Vortex spells. Ooh, but the Sphinx of Usak is coming in here to deliver the pain to the Knights of the Blazing Sun, who are trying to catch these Bone Giants out here. This is a good charge here to try and catch the Bone Giants, because the Bone Giants have a pretty lackluster combat or melee combo capabilities, but that Sphinx of Usak has quite the competent melee capabilities. You can take a look here with each one of its scything blades. It takes out, so it's at 34. Ooh, 33. Like, each one is going to take 1 or 2. There, oh, takes 3 with it right there. So it's doing tons of damage to these Knights of the Blazing Sun, because while they do fire damage, they do not do anti-large. But let's take a look at our artillery pieces. The Hammer of the Witches still firing strong. Looks like Turin's has been completely knocked out, and it was knocked out almost in the first initial couple volleys from those Bone Giants. So that's a big reminder here that those Bone Giants can really do a ton of damage. For the Warhammer! Trying to catch out the lovely Kalita here with the Knights of the Blazing Sun. See if we can get a nice slow-mo in here. Now, big thing here is if we do catch this charge, it is going to do a considerable amount of damage to Kalita, because this is the burning damage that we talked about so much with the Knights of the Blazing Sun. It does bring quite a bit to the fore with the Tomb Kings. And then if Volkmar the Grim can catch up... Oh! Las Cannon's going off all over the place. But if we also can get Volkmar the Grim in there, he will put his handlebar mustache all over Kalita. She'll be asking for the mustache ride for years. So let's see if we actually catch this charge here. Get a good zoom in. I love the actual models and art of the... oh! Green explosion coming out from Kalita, doing tons of damage. And as you can see, man, that does a considerable amount to the Knights of Blazing Sun. Even though that really is more effective against, say, like chaff units, it still is going to be enough to just kind of give them a brief pause and allowing her to really escape that charge and put them in a really bad position here. Getting focused by... oh, a Netta Vomitok kicks off. You've got the dreaded Sphinx of Usef charging down range. The Bone Giant has now chosen Volkmar the Grim as their primary target here. But we have a companion coming to save the day. Mighty Karl Franzia comes to smack the bag with the Sphinx of Usef. As he just gets ripped apart, though, by Bone Giants. You can see now they're targeting him. Each one of those hits knocks a huge chunk of his life out. And even that he's jumped in here with the Sphinx of Usek, that is going to be a considerable amount of damage being poured into Karl Franzia. Watch these Bone Giants just rip shots right into him. Oh. Oh. It's quite the risky charge here, but we do have to kind of put that Sphinx of Usek down a little bit here. Ooh, and Franzia already has to flee here for even a momentary charge in. But hopefully these Empire Knights will get a good charge off. Boom! Right into this Kepra guard, knocking the Bone Daddies all over the place. Woo-hoo-hoo! Man, charges in this game are some of the most, like, nipple-hardening things I've ever seen in my life. But now the Usef has his sights on the handlebar master himself. Volkmar the Grim has Cascading Fire Cloak casted on him, so he'll at least be able to do a little bit more damage to the Sphinx of Usef, but probably not enough to really do a considerable amount. Kalita's in bad position, though. Getting more green explosions off on these Knights of the Blazing Sun. She loves that ability. One Bone Giant down, though. Felled by the might of these, by the cannons shooting down range still. Oh, yes. Firestorm ripping through, hoping to catch out some skeleton archers, but just missing the mark a bit here, I'd say. Volkmar the Grim is running away from the dreaded Sphinx of Usef here. We have Queen Khalida has fallen right here. Unfortunately, we didn't get that on camera, but it's okay. Because really, the main... Oh! Rear shots, blast gun shots going right to the bow and stern of Volkmar the Grim by the Bone Daddies. And then a net of Amata kicking in as well. That is not good. That is going to put him in a really bad exposed position. But hopefully some of the artillery fire can help knock out that Sphinx of Usef. Let's take a look at the back line here while in the meantime. So we still have a considerable amount. We had some Stargate SG-1 main characters ripping through the back line in the Ushabti summons, but we have plenty of spearmen to kind of eat up those units here, so they're not too scary. But it is going to be time here to bring those spearmen to the fore and get them on that Sphinx of Usef, because it is dealing quite a bit of damage here. Volkmar the Grim just hanging on by a thread. The Sphinx, though, is fleeing a little bit. We do still have the silver bullets, which are going to do a lot of damage here, because they do AP and magic damage, which is going to be really good against that Sphinx. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. More volleys, more volleys! Oh! Cannon's firing and just barely missing it. It's just running. It's going to get right in there. It's going to get in there. Oh! Getting the Ushabti. And the Ushabti Great Bows are now in combat. And remember, they still have really good competent combat stats. They're not your typical kind of archer unit where they get in combat, they're going to get eaten up. In this case, they can still really hold their own. I believe their melee attack is only a couple points below that of a typical Ushabti with just... Oh! Look at that Sphinx of Usef taking spearmen with it as it falls over. Finally, the biggest threat in the battlefield has been put down, and the tides have definitely turned for us as the Empire players. But we still have quite a bit to deal with two Bone Giants, which are now out of ammunition, which are not as scary. But the Roomba Master himself is coming to pay his respects. You can see something really cool here. Oh man, I was hoping that's going to make contact. Oh, maybe this one will. Yeah, every time a cannonball makes contact, it just bounces off a Bone Giant. So really cool. Kind of talks to the whole obsidian construct these guys are. They are not undead constructs. They are actually made of stone, of obsidian, made in veneration of certain portions of the Khemri and Tomb King gods. So really awesome here. Necrotect is surrounded and being beat down, which is a good form, good order, because we don't want to deal with him healing any kind of Bone Giants as it goes. Oh, another cannonball ricochets off this mighty Bone Giant. As he starts to crumble, we get a little charge in here again against the Kepler Guard. They just can't hang. They hate the dreaded charge of these Reichsguard. At this point, though, it's almost as soon as this runs out of ammunition, we've pretty much got all of our artillery pieces up close and personal doing some combat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh! Got a Skullstorm ripping through some spearmen here. Oh, no. Oh, no. Trying to get away from it. We try to flee away from it. And the other one kicking off here, the actual spell from the Lord Nehekara, not Skullstorm, which is the actual ability. And this one we kind of dodge as it goes away from the majority of our units. But still comes back just like the movie Twister with Bill Paxton. I couldn't see a cow in this one, but it was still a terrifying endeavor. Pretty much now we're just going to be focusing down these Bone Giants, which in close combat are not the most frightening of opponents. And we're getting Volkmar the Grim over here on the Roomba Lord. Pimp Chariot meets Roomba Lord. Brookshire brothers planned this. They knew that their new technology would meet some of the most deadly technology of West Coast customs. The Pimp Chariot. Bone Giant just being surrounded by spearmen. Bring it down! Bring it down! Side saddle charging. We got Reichsguard coming in. We got some spearmen coming up from reserve. Great swords coming over here. Got some damage resistance coming out from Mighty Volkmar the Grim to spread the rest of the army. So I'd say that the Empire are in very good shape at this point as army losses kick in and the mighty Kotep begins to crumble. His army in shambles. The choke point won in the name of the Empire. Overall, very fun fight. Very great fight. Enjoyed this one. I love the way these guys topple over just all kinds of units. Oh, didn't get to see it. But a Pyrrhic victory indeed. I mean, we held on by the skin of our teeth. You could kind of see the fighting shifting back and forth almost the entire time. So we'll take a look at my army, and I think ProfPwn is actually GobboKing. So my army, a lot of kills here from the Sunmaker, as to be expected. The majority of the time it was just shooting into their main line of basic skeleton warriors, skeleton spearmen. 189 kills out of them. Great form. Then we see a lot of the flagellants as well as the Tattersouls getting strong use, right? Just as we expected to be against a lightly armored kind of chaff core. They were able to get 78, 115, 89, 87 kills. Knights of the Blazing Sun I could have used better, I'm not going to lie. I didn't give the best charges to them throughout the entirety of the game. They could have been better used on the right flank, charging through the choke, because their damage would have been better served on units that would have actually received the damage versus going after random bone giants, which didn't turn out too well for me. But even then, the Bright Wizard got 28 kills with his flaming skull here and there, trying to get any kind of damage we could out there. But overall, very enjoyable performance. My Hammer of the Witches didn't get anything. It moved into a poor placement, kind of like right off the start. Oh, let's look at Professor Pwn's Ushabti Great Bows, who got 102 kills and 40 kills on his Bone Giants. Now, the Bone Giants, you're not going to see a considerable amount of kills on these guys. What you are going to see is that they have a small amount of kills, but it's mainly aimed at the artillery pieces. So if you look at my artillery pieces, got 0 on the Hammer of the Witches. Turin got 3, 19, and 3 on his artillery pieces. His Hammer of the Witches was out of the game within the first minute. So they did their job. They got out what they were supposed to get out, which were artillery pieces. Like I've said before, Bone Giants can snipe out artillery pieces and lords and ladies quite easily. Let's take a look. Also worth noting, Khalidah's Green Spit Spasm, 61 kills. I mean, that's pretty significant for just ability that was used 3 or 4 times maybe. Now, if we take a look at Professor Pwn, we can see that 141 kills came from the Roomba Lord himself shooting down range. 105 from the Kepra Guard, as they were used to mulch through the flagellants in the front line. Also used to kill some of the spearmen. And surprisingly, still 40 and 25 kills in these Bone Giants. Now, the Sphinx of Usek put a considerable amount of hurt into the Knights of the Blazing Sun. It hit Karl Franzia real deep, real hard, and it was able to really kind of knock around Volkmar the Grim a lot in that later portions of the game. So even 36 kills is significant because they were large target 36 kills. So I'll allow it. Now when we take a look at Turin's army, his Empire Knights and his Reichsguard were alive for the majority of the fight, and they were able to get a lot of really good opportune charges in to help stop the Kepra Guard from maybe getting deeper into our lighter chaff infantry that would have been really mulched up by them. So the Reichsguard and Empire Knights were used really strategically by Turin's part to really kind of lock down the Kepra Guard or other units when need be. But as you can see here, the Silver Bullets are really the VIP of Turin's army because they helped us take out the Sphinx of Usek. If those guys weren't alive, and the skirmish cat that they brought initially, GobboKing, got into that backline and killed those Silver Bullets, we would have had a much harder fight, especially towards the end of it, trying to bring down those larger targets. But overall, guys, this was a super fun battle. I had a lot of fun here. We've got another thematic battle coming out here for you pretty soon. But let us know what other kind of themes you'd like to see, or other kind of stuff you'd like to see as far as, like, you know, Empire versus Tomb Kings like this, or say Norska versus some sort of Empire themed in the deep north, or we could even do something that's like Dark Elves and High Elves in the Battle of the Involved Plain. Love to kind of hear your feedback on this, guys. But as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment below, check out my Patreon, all the things that I say nowadays. But as always, guys, thanks for watching and take care.